And in the evening when I go to bed, I feel something poking me a little.
Physically or energetically?
Energetically and strongly. I instantly know what it is, but I don't want to. I say, please, I don't want to talk to. I'm not ready. I'm really scared. I can't. There it is. I see it. And it's looking me in the eyes and says it's time for us to talk.
And what about you?
I know they won't leave me alone and I have no real choice. At one point, I was sitting with my mom in our room and we were just talking. I've always been different. And it showed, and I used to say, I see someone here. I hear someone is telling me something. And she just started asking questions and said, do you see anything? And I said, don't you see? Many times I wanted to go back when I come into space. I really wanted to go back to my family, my other family, but I was afraid to die. And that kept me from making decisions that couldn't be taken back. Fear in general often shows us which path we need to take because there is resistance.
Resistance.
Resistance, yes, it often means that we really need to do this thing. And when I realized later in my life that others couldn't see, it was scary for me because I thought, this isn't normal. Why can I, but they can't? The logic that just because most people aren't like that, I'm the anomaly and there's something wrong with me. Something's not right with me.
What are the strangest creatures you've seen that nobody talks about?
Today I'll talk about some that are like family to me, but not a biological family.
Today is a very special day for all of us because when we started Reality Explorers more than 3 years ago, our main idea was to find ways to reach people who are our age and why not even younger ones who have much more intuitive abilities, many more experiences and much more knowledge to share with us. Today I am definitely taking on the role of the student who will experience being part of the story of our guest, whose name is Ani Zakarieva. Welcome to Reality Explorers. Before I officially give you the floor, I want to tell everyone this is the daughter of Maya Zakarieva, of Maya, who has already participated with us several times, and all of you really like the topic about the new children and in general about what awaits all of us as the energy of the planet and as growth. Today, Ani is daring to appear in front of the cameras for the first time, and I want to thank you very much for doing it with us. It's a big gesture.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. I'm also very glad to be here today.
Before we start, we can tell our viewers that you mainly live abroad in England, and that's why sometimes you speak using English words.
Yes.
That's completely okay with me, so if someone doesn't like it, they can just stop watching here, but this is the way we allow all possibilities, and we shouldn't set boundaries so that everyone can feel completely themselves. I'm really glad that there's someone on the show who's physically smaller than me. This is a big achievement for me. It really means a lot. Will you tell me?
How do you feel right now about everything that's happening in the world with the month of all energies?
How did you even open up to this whole direction, and why didn't you choose the usual path of all the young people who we know can be distracted by so many things?
For me, it's specific. I would say I didn't have much of a choice because I've been seeing things since I was little. And when I say that I see, I mean, I really see. All the time, little dots everywhere. For example, very often around a glass or a table, around objects. Objects, thank you. I see how it thickens around them and kind of creates an aura around them. And very often I see invisible things like beings or objects that can't be seen with our physical eyes. And that's why, for me, I never really had much of a choice because I was just born with it. Of course, everyone has a choice in their path, but I've always felt that this is my path. And for me, it's been easier this way because I've seen it. But in other ways, it's been harder for me. Exactly because I can see it's much scarier for me, because when I was little, I thought it was normal to see. I didn't even realize that people couldn't see, because somehow I was born with this idea that we all see that the world is energetic. And it's just so normal that we don't even talk about seeing someone sitting in the corner or some being watching us. But I started to notice that it wasn't like that when I was maybe 8,
Yes.
around 8 or 9 years old. And then I started to ignore that idea, and I was like, that can't be. There's no way only I can see it. And I suppressed it. And at one point, I was sitting with my mom in our room and we were just talking. And she started to learn more about the invisible world.
Yes.
She began asking me simple questions out of curiosity. I have always been different, and it showed up. I would say, like, I see someone here, I hear someone telling me something. She just starts asking questions and says, "Do you see anything?" And I say, "Don't you see?" Yes.
So, what's your earliest memory when you realized you had this gift and that you came here to Earth with it? Can you remember?
Maybe I was, my earliest memory is when I was maybe 3 years old, and I just have this memory of walking around our apartment and seeing someone just sitting in the hallway and someone talking. But I don't realize that there's a difference between physical and non-physical.
So you're standing there, you know there's a presence, but for you there's not really much of a difference.
There's no difference, yes. You know, it bothers me. I say, why do we have guests? You know, why don't I understand? Why didn't I invite them? They didn't knock on the door, but yes. And when I realized later in my life that others can't see, it was scary for me, because I thought, this isn't normal. Why can I, but they can't? The logic that just because most people aren't like that, but I'm the anomaly, and I have a problem. Something's wrong with me. And that's why I suppressed it a lot. But it really helped me a lot that with my mom, we talked about things like that. And when she learned more about the invisible world, I was also opening up more and more. But it was very hard, because most of the time I'm at school or with other people who aren't like me. And I switched to another version of myself that doesn't see, doesn't hear, and isn't aware of that world. And I just forget, because so many things happen to us. We talk with friends, play games, study, we have to focus, we have an exam, and it kind of quiets down a bit.
Yes.
And it didn't help that I was suppressing it on purpose, because I realized that if I told them, they wouldn't want to talk to me, they wouldn't want to play with me.
They'll label you as weird, as something different, and what... Actually, how old are you now?
I'm 17.
You're 17. That's really, really cool. Okay, what's the feeling like when you're so young and you realize some of these things? How do you manage to merge yourself with? Was it hard to deal with the ordinary world and the matrix?
Very. Before I turned 8 there, when I realized it was normal, I felt everything. I could feel it and I understood it. Without much logic, I knew it as the truth. Without logic, analyzing things. And then it was easier for me to understand the invisible world. But when I started closing myself off, maybe 9 and 11 years old, then after that period, I started to relearn my gift a little and to learn everything again. So then, well, I saw it through the perspective of a more ordinary person, someone who is learning these things for the first time and wasn't born with them. And that's why my integration into this world we live in, which is very disconnected from the energy world, was a little easier for me, than if I had stayed completely open and grown up with this gift right away, because then it would have been very hard to stay in the physical world. Simply because very often I feel a lot of things, I hear a lot, and I see a lot, and it's very distracting. And sometimes it's really hard to, sit down and get something done or to talk to someone. But that's because I stopped using my gift for a few years. It gave me a chance to know that I can pause it and turn it off, so I can be both here and there, but I still find the need to ground myself very often, and that's very important.
Actually, yes, that's very valuable, because when I started getting into these fields, so to speak, for me it happened through books, but it took me quite a while to first to realize that a person can make this pause and not get carried away only in one thing or the other, because the idea is, to learn how to transition between the two. What you're saying is very valuable. Thank you. Would you place yourself? This is a question people will be upset with me if I don't ask, but I realize it's just a label. You as what kind of kid would you define yourself as?
You mean in terms of cosmic, alien, hybrid?
Yes, absolutely, because personally, I don't think you are in the normal way. And I mean that in a very good way, because your presence is very conscious.
The feeling is not at all like someone who
Is that age?
Thank you. I am. Basically, I have had many lives on other planets in other types of bodies, not physical ones. This is one of my first, actually my second life here on this planet. And I would describe myself as an alien who came to this planet. A little.
And do you have any clarity from which star system or...
Now,
Haven't you gotten there yet?
yes, I have time.
Yes, of course. That's very interesting, because in my opinion, from a very broad perspective, we are all aliens. Because here on Earth, I feel like it's some kind of huge zoo. There are all kinds of species, a galactic zoo. Everyone who seems to have passed by has left something behind, and that has mixed with the DNA and so on.
What?
Does all this bring to you? Why? Up to the point where I know that these are often in our show and in general in our existence, and you are like that too. We ask ourselves not only the usual questions like, what does this mean to me now? Or was that a coincidence? Or what does this mean for me? What is the lesson? But we also ask the big questions, the deep ones, like, why do you think you have come here to Earth at exactly this time? Such dynamic times. We have gone through, and we are going through a lot of things.
Subscribe.
I know I have a few reasons why I'm here, but some of them haven't been given to me yet. But I'll tell you what I know for now. I have come to help with the integration of the invisible world into the visible one, because more and more everything that we don't see, or maybe we know it's there but we don't see it physically, will start to show themselves. This is also important for the extraterrestrials. For example, when they start to show themselves more and more, I will help people get used to the idea that they exist, that they are here, and that we will be able to communicate without the fear that many people have. Because in general, they look very different from what we are used to seeing, and that's why it scares us. What we don't know, what's different, it scares us.
When was your first encounter with someone who isn't human?
There were a lot during a period when I was 7 to 8 years old. That year, many of them came as the energy bodies of people who have been on this planet. So we can call them ghosts, and they would come and ask me about things.
When you say they came, for our people who still don't understand, how would you describe this process? You're sitting somewhere.
Yes. It always happens at night when I relax and I'm not focused on the physical world or at school. I'm not.
In the daily grind.
And first I feel that something isn't right.
In the body?
In my body, yes. It's like as if a similar feeling to when you get goosebumps, but I don't always get goosebumps. I feel that something is wrong. And I feel that there's something in my room. I feel it. First, it's always the feeling, and then I turn on my sight because I can turn it on and off, so it doesn't bother me. And then I see them. I mean, if you've ever seen atoms. Atoms, yes. When they get denser, imagine them a bit like little dots. Just, they get denser around something, like with. It's like you've drawn an outline around it. Yes, exactly. And that's how I see them. And when they come, usually it's because when I was younger, I didn't protect myself as much, and because much more, I didn't take as many precautions. A lot more of my energy was coming out of me. I mean, it was spreading from me because I wasn't protecting it. I hadn't learned yet to protect it, so I just let it out for everyone. And because it was so bright, they would come to me.
Yes.
Because they thought I could help. But back then I didn't have yet. I didn't know how to do it. And that's why I had to send them away.
That's what you're telling all of us, that we have the ability to send them away and to accept and to send them away. And that's in...
We can do it.
Yes, we are in control of the situation.
So what were they sending you then? Information or just their presence?
In general, they often asked me for help with something. To fix something energetically, or to tell someone something. A living person to tell them that they said it, but back then I wasn't ready. And I've told them, no, I'm sorry, but we've talked with some of them about different things. I have an experience like when I was already older. I was in Romania and I was about 12, older and much more open. And that was when I opened up more specifically to the extraterrestrials, because for me, I didn't really distinguish between them. For me, everyone is an energy being, even people. I didn't categorize them as angels, ghosts, aliens.
Aliens.
And for me, everything was just an energy and just a being. But at that time, we just talked a lot. Something about aliens, we talked a lot. Apparently, the environment wanted to tell me something. And we were at a very special place in Romania.
Where is it? Do you remember?
Yes, it's called Sphinxul, the Romanian Sphinx. And it's in the Bucegi Mountains. And a lot of people go there because there's a book written about it. Yes.
By Radu Sinamar.
Exactly. And I still didn't know much about. I prefer not to know beforehand and just read the book after experiencing it first.
Can you briefly tell me what it's about?
Of course.
Great.
If you're interested, you can read the book. But what we felt is that under this Romanian Sphinx, which is a natural rock that from one side its face slightly resembles a sphinx, we can feel how underneath there are these big holes with a lot of information about our history, like people, but unfiltered, not from someone's perspective or others, because very often
Stored, encoded records.
and that there are a lot of aliens there, they've been there, they stay there, they've done things there. There are people who very connected with the aliens, and they have a lot of experience,
Experience, yes, experiences.
a lot of experiences with them, and they can almost see them physically. They have gone there to talk to them and to communicate.
What I can add, if you remember from the book, is that one of the ships, the one underneath, actually under the Romanian Sphinx, belongs to a very, very, very ancient alien race, which is much, much older than what we know and see. And then we ask ourselves, actually, how old is our planet if we look at it linearly, of course.
Yes.
And actually, how old was it there in Romania?
12.
At 12?
Yes. That wasn't the part where I really shined. Very often, I get rather small moments that are specifically meant for me because that was a bit more of a group thing with my mom, my dad, my brother. We did everything together.
And do you see these moments like visions, or does the information just come to you and you already know it?
It's more like experience,
Yeah, like an experience,
like an experience.
like knowledge maybe?
Yes, like knowledge. I will explain this experience as an example. We're coming back from that place where we were going to sleep. It wasn't a hotel, and we're driving and just talking about Bashar. For those who don't know, Bashar is aliens who are a single consciousness, meaning they are one mind, and there is one person, Daryl Anchor, he channels him.
Channels.
She channels him, yes, and we were just commenting about him and how the ship had arrived. And sometimes they show up physically, things like that. And that night, when I was going to bed, I felt something tense. There was something, I felt pressure. Something was poking me a little, like this, poking.
Yes. Physically or energetically?
Energetically and strongly, I know what it is right away, but I don't want it. I say, please, I don't want to talk to him. I'm not ready. I'm very scared. I can't. It makes me very anxious. Please, not now. Please, not now. I'm begging them to stop, but they won't. And that's because in this case, a large part of their consciousness was there. A large part of their energy was there, because sometimes to make it easier for themselves, since they are such a high vibration, they only send a small part. But this time it was
Big.
big, and you can really feel it. And I immediately get scared because it's frightening, and I see it, and it looks me in the eyes and says it's time to talk.
And what about you?
Well, of course, at first I shut down. I say, no, I don't want to. But then I realize that they won't leave me alone, and I don't have much of a choice.
If we open a parenthesis here, does that mean that from a broader perspective, you yourself wished for this kind of meeting and moment, and now that they're saying, come on, it really is time?
Yes, I wished for it. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not, but this is a specific case. I think it's a combination of both. I remember wanting more of these experiences to happen to me so I could gain experience. Not exactly because I see, it's not something new for me, but gaining experience was important to me, and that's exactly what happened.
And what did they tell you then?
First, I had to focus since I felt panicked and overwhelmed. But when they talk to me, I hear them in my head like a stream of thoughts, but it feels different, not mine. And it's as if the thought vibrates a little, and I know it's not mine. And it feels different from my own thoughts, ever since my own thoughts.
Does it feel, is the analogy accurate, like you're in the car and until now you've been driving, holding the wheel, and there's a front seat next to you, and now you just switch places, you're in the front seat but someone else is driving? Or is it not quite like that?
Not in this case, more like this case. There's another steering wheel and both are driving.
Okay.
So it's like those bikes that have pedals twice.
Yes, exactly. I really like that. And whatever we start talking about, it asks me, what's your name? And I say, you're such a high being, of course you know. And it says, yes, but you have to practice. Imagine I don't know your name. Let's practice speaking together. I say, my name is Zani, what's yours? He replies, Bashar. I ask, why is your name Bashar? Because I don't feel like you're Bashar. And he says, because that name is more familiar to you and it will be easier for you. Yes, because we talked about Bashar before.
Yes.
And to make it easier for me, because for the first time like this, I'm clearly communicating with an alien and I'm asking it, okay, why are you here? Why do I have to practice? And he says, this is very important for you because you'll be doing it a lot in the future. And you need to be able to do it without this fear, because this fear is limiting you. And we were just talking about different ordinary things. I had an idea. I was thinking about it in my head. And I just asked him, do you think it's a good idea? Because I wasn't sure. And he said, like many things, it depends on how you do it. It depends a lot. But it was nothing
Yes.
eye-opening. But for me, it was very important, because to communicate so clearly with such a being.
How long was the communication physical?
How did it seem to you?
15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes.
15 minutes had passed, but how long did it feel to you?
15 minutes for both of us.
I want to say something about Bashar to everyone, because the whole audience follows him and they're aware there are a lot of people who don't understand. It's as if, because Darrell is the only one who channels Bashar directly and publicly, and basically they themselves are filmed saying that he is almost the only person they've picked on Earth to channel them to others this way. That doesn't mean that the others can't connect with Bashar. This also applies to everything else, since we are energy, and this energy floats in space and we can connect with anyone as long as we practice, right?
Subscribe to our channel.
If you and I do an experiment right now at this table, let's draw and create a guide for people who are about to get to know more about the invisible world, the world of energy, all these things for the first time. Something like a study guide. What would you definitely include inside?
Fear needs to be overcome. Fear, and you don't have to be scared by seeing how many beings there are, but to be scared of being different, or to accept this world, and that many people will tell you it's abnormal. You just have to accept it. The fear, and to keep going your own way, because fear often shows us which path we need to take. Because if there is resistance, yes, it means that this, not always, but very often, it means that we have to do this thing. For example, you're really nervous about doing an art exhibition, let's say, of paintings, and you're an artist. You want your own exhibition, but it makes you nervous. And this, if you don't do it, you're limiting yourself. You could have the most beautiful paintings in the world. Yes, everyone could love them deeply. You could move them. Such deep emotions to move people when they see these paintings. But if you don't, you'll never...
They won't see, yes.
Yes, they won't see. Even if people don't like it, it's important just to show it, to open up. It doesn't matter if people like you or like what you do, because life is short here on this planet. We just have to do what we like and what we think is right, or what we think, or just what resonates with us, yes.
What should we do to understand more often which things resonate with us? In your opinion?
Good question. I really like it. Subscribe. It depends. More likely in everyday life. Yes, just being aware of what makes you feel happy and what doesn't. But in a purely...
By happy, like what? For example, let's say you want to go to run or to draw.
More like ecstasy and fulfillment. Those are two in English, which is ecstasy is one level above happiness. I'll be happy if I go to the gym or work out or watch some movie. But something that brings me in passion.
Yes.
Passion and fulfillment, which is satisfaction. Thank you.
Satisfaction, yes.
For example, for me personally, when I write, I get both passion and satisfaction.
Satisfaction, yes. You'll be able to say it by show's end.
Both things bring me that. But for example, when I read, it brings me happiness.
Okay.
I'm happy. But we need those things that make us feel complete. Not that we're empty, but it's a feeling, fulfilled. Yes, that feeling.
It's like you're blooming like a flower. Yes.
We need to do these things, to focus on them. We have other things to do, and they are important too. But when we can do these things that make us feel like a higher version of ourselves energetically, I mean.
That's very nice, Ani. Really, I'm very happy to be part of such conversations, and more often, this is our reality. But still, how do we preserve
This vibration state.
while we're in the presence of someone who clearly isn't into this at all?
That's very difficult because it often happens to me.
It happens to all of us very often, and that's why I'm asking.
And I'm looking for different answers too, because it seems like that's the only way a person can heal themselves more.
There are different ways to do it. For me, it really helps to accept the situation, to understand that every person has a choice about what kind of energy they want to radiate, how they want to behave, what things they want to say, and that, yes, we are all one being. We are all energy, which means we are one, but at the same time, we are also separate. And that just because he has decided to have that kind of energy or to think that way, it doesn't mean I have to get angry for him or be affected by it. It's like we are separate. I have nothing to do with it. And I accept that he will be that way because that's what he chooses.
Without judging him.
He doesn't touch me and I don't judge him. I understand, though I might be upset that he thinks this way and self-sabotages.
He self-sabotages.
Yes, sorry. And that, with such a negative mindset.
He has a perspective, yes, and a way of thinking too.
And that he makes his own world grayer. But he has the right to do so. And it's the same. You can energetically stop this. If you sense the energy, you want to keep it out of your space.
How do we do this? What do you do?
It depends on the situation and the thing. I just imagine a lot. Light around me. That's one visualization. The other one is more like a little bubble, but with spikes. And when, for example, the bad bubble with bad energy comes,
Like a hedgehog.
it pops and it goes down and transforms. So I'm doing two things, transforming and protecting myself with one thing. You can also send love directly to the person, but without any judgment. You really have to
True love.
feel it. You can imagine it as if they are a little kitten that doesn't know how to behave and is struggling, and you feel sorry for them.
And it still happens.
Yes. Whatever works for you, that's the good thing. Subscribe.
That's interesting what you said. Because in many moments there are many little things that can stress us out, throw us off balance, make us nervous. And that's exactly when we need to remind ourselves of this. Just send love, empathy, humility, and if you can, gratitude to the person. And it automatically passes to you too. This is a very interesting thing. There was a very interesting analogy. One of our guests, he stands here and he observes us, analyzes for a year, then comments, "You're something like the airport shuttle. You're the one who picks them up and takes them from one place to another." And that was a very interesting analogy. And I think, yes, but if I'm the shuttle, I have to make sure that the ride inside where I transport people, that space is comfortable. That space should be pleasant for them while they're traveling, not something they can't wait to leave.
Subscribe.
Have you had any interactions with people where you realized this role of yours? How now, very consciously, you are guiding this person from one place to another and they really need you at this moment?
I think, yes, I've had a few times when this has happened to me. I think that in general, when someone comes and asks me questions about themselves, because in that sense, I'm a bit like a shuttle bus. Because it's very hard to ask about yourself sometimes, because when you want to ask your higher self or you want to ask your own guides, anyone can ask their guides. It's just that sometimes we don't believe in ourselves, or it's harder for us to trust what we hear because we put up barriers, because when it's about us, we're much more emotionally involved.
Yes.
And that's why,
We care a lot.
yes, a lot. And when they ask me, they do it because they want someone who isn't them. Well, I do it sometimes too when I've gotten attached to the situation or something, when I want to ask emotionally. But when they ask me, I really will answer them. But sometimes I'll tell them that they already know the answer themselves, because honestly, yeah, I have a feeling that increasingly I feel like a shuttle bus.
Yeah, cool. What would you say to all the people who are still looking for that connection?
Out of touch and disconnected. Additional PDF books and materials that have helped me tremendously to become the person I am today and continue to help me every day so I can keep growing.
Audio meditations, guided and music only, with the exceptional voice of Valia.
Video meditations, new content, only meditations and music, meditations for healing, channeling, and connection.
Videos and video materials that awaken, which you won't find on the YouTube channel, and also selected videos from YouTube that don't have ads.
Thanks for everything. Visit the INRA BG website to check it out.
We've included everything we have available at the moment.
The link is already adapted to our website, and from there you can register.
Thank you to each and every one of you for your time, your energy, and for choosing to continue to support and follow everything we do.
This journey is endless, and you are endless as well. Thank you for sharing a small part of infinity together with us.
And I would say that from what I've noticed is that very often, because they have things in their lives that are unresolved, they haven't
They are not resolved.
resolved, yes, and they don't believe in themselves that they are in control, because for some people the idea that you're in control of your situation and your life and that you determine what you will see in the world, that means that many of the bad things or traumatic things that have happened in your life are your fault. I've had a moment like that where I realized that I was to blame for an incident I had when my hardest year, when I was really denying myself. Much later, I realized that the reason I was having these symptoms was because I was denying myself.
What were you denying yourself?
I see, hear, and feel that I am different.
All of this is happening.
Yes. And I had a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, really bad. And I really couldn't live like a normal person, because there was a time later on when I couldn't even go out. And I was constantly feeling like the world was going to explode or something, that something would happen, that I would disappear and that I would die. But then back then it was still developing, and I was in an English class with a teacher, and this teacher used to show us a lot of videos and talk about many people, for example, people without arms. And she would show us pictures and people with disabilities. And there was one video about how in the North Pole, some people, not real, they made it look real, but how their fingers break off due to frostbite. And back then, I denied that I was sensitive in general to many things. And from that denial, there was a lot of conflict, and I had a lot of panic attacks and felt very betrayed.
Betrayed?
Betrayed because at that time, I still believed that everyone in the world should take care of each other, and that older people should teach the younger ones, children and people. And they should protect them, and they should help them. And I felt very, upset that he showed us such things and then claimed that I was lying, that he had never shown such things. But much later, after 2 or 3 years, I realized that I was the one to blame for this situation because I wanted so much to be normal and fit in that I didn't dare to stand up and say, no, I really did say that. I don't want to be like that. I can leave whenever I want, because I was very ashamed to leave the class, because that's a big shame. I'm not like the others. Now I don't care, and I do it if I need to.
Congratulations for that. You have been in that situation.
You found a way out and now you're here.
That's a great strength. Where does that strength come from?
I don't know. Maybe it comes from within, but I think we create it ourselves. Mostly that we create it ourselves, because when something is hard for us, especially when it's related to emotion or the mind, it doesn't always have to be physical. It takes a lot. We have a choice whether we want to continue or not. And for me, it's one of these things, my fear helped me in a way, even when it was really hard for me. I had a lot of fears, and it was really hard for me to live with that, because constantly living under stress is not a life.
It's not a good deal.
Yes, and many times I wanted to go back to where I came from, meaning space. I really wanted to go back to my family, my other family, but I was afraid of dying. Interestingly, I fear pain and death. And that has kept me from making decisions that can't be undone. But I always knew I had a kind of responsibility, because I thought it's very irresponsible to kill myself, for example, and just leave. It's irresponsible because I felt that if I overcame this and then could help other people, we would be so strong and able to handle anything that comes our way in life on such a higher level. We would reach such a high energy level as humanity. Grown, we will be much more emotionally mature.
Mature?
Yes, mature. And a lot of things like that happened to me at such a young age. I was 10. And that's why it happened to me at that age. That's why, in general, I'm more emotionally mature than my classmates. So sometimes it's really hard for me to communicate with them, because they haven't yet
Learn that lesson.
Yes.
If there are people now from the audience who have such thoughts about suicide, what would you say to them?
What would you give them as
Like an idea, something that would, like a thought.
For me personally, what I used for myself was much harsher, firm. It wasn't sweet words. It wasn't gentle. I would tell myself, you're being a coward now. You're avoiding the pain. You're avoiding the difficulty, and you're not overcoming it. I say this to myself. I wouldn't say it to someone else, but if it helps, since you use it, but to someone else, I would rather say that you are here on this planet for a reason, and sometimes it's very hard to live on this planet. And
Especially when you're more sensitive.
yes, when you are very sensitive and emotional, it's very hard. The situations that happen to you are not always, you are in control. Most of the time, it seems like you are in control, and something happens to you, but you're not. You're not in control of the situation. The thing you control is your reaction, how you respond to a situation. Whether it's, do you give up? Do you fight? Do you accept the situation and grow from it? You decide how you will react. You have the right to react however you want. But I think that subscribe. We must keep going. If you're still alive, it's meant to be. And in those moments, it's very hard and you really can't see the light, but you need at least one thing a day to see the light in it. Maybe it's your pet. Imagine if you leave. What will he do? He'll be sad. How would you want to?
to take away this joy from the pet?
Yes, your parents and friends will be, it will be so emotionally hard. They will be so sad. It will hurt them so much for you to leave in such a way. because they love you very much. They really want you to be here with them. That's why it was very hard for me too. The idea of dying was hard for me not to want, because I understand that living is endless and the energy is used again and again. I am reborn. And that's why it was much easier for me to imagine that I wanted it. But even if that's true, which it is, we are reborn, it doesn't mean you have to stop now.
To stop.
Because if you stop now, you start from zero and they make it harder for you. They make it harder for you because you have to learn your lesson faster or grow in the way you should. You decided that you would do this, that you would learn this lesson. They give it to you in this way. For example, if I had chosen to leave,
Yes.
that would likely be harder, and I don't want that. Thanks.
Yes.
It's a great pleasure to talk to someone like you.
It's very interesting and useful for me. I believe that for everyone watching, there are a ton of questions coming to my mind, and I realize we won't have enough time, but I want to ask you, how do you explain dreams and parallel realities? What goes through your mind when you hear this vibration?
I'll start with parallel realities because for me, when we talk about past lives or things like past and future in general in this life, it's all a bit parallel. It flows. That is, everything happens simultaneously. And when we talk about parallel realities, we can imagine many different lines just existing side by side, and everything is happening both simultaneously.
And at the same time, each has its own path.
And at the same time, yes, we can define and classify them as different times. We classify it to make it easier for us to understand. Otherwise, it's very hard to understand if we say now is also yesterday and tomorrow. It's easier to say that yesterday is yesterday, today is today, and yes. Dreams. Very often they are our unconscious. Energetically, things are shown to us that we are either blocked from receiving when we are awake, or it's easier to show them this way. But most of all, very often it will be a metaphor. It's not that if you see yourself drowning, you will actually drown. It's more about what drowning means to you or what it means to you if a plane crashes. They are often quite strange and unusual, especially for me. And exactly because they are unusual, you have to interpret exactly what that means for you may differ for others. A horse means one thing to me and something else to someone else.
Absolutely.
But it's very important to interpret our dreams, not to think that it's just some fantasy, that my brain is just making up a story that...
Do you have a dream that happened to you that you interpreted, took the message from it, and now you're grateful that it was shown to you in that way?
Yes, I do. There are many because they're on a similar topic, but when I realized it, it took me a little time. But when I was younger, I used to dream very often that a wolf was chasing me, swallowing me, and in its stomach, the acids in its stomach are eating me away. And it's very visual. I see it very realistically.
With details?
Yes, with a lot of details. Either a snake bites me, or a huge cobra, 5 meters above me, is chasing me. Things like that happen to me very often. And this was more to show me that I shouldn't be afraid of fear itself or of other creatures. And when I realized that the snake for me was something that meant fear, as did the wolf. The wolf is often counted as the bad thing, the bad, negative character in stories. Learning not to be afraid was very important to me. I remember that a woman helped me a lot, and she said that you have to hug or kiss the snake or the wolf. And that helped. And I remember that I had a dream. It happened to me, but I realized that I was dreaming this time. It happens to me to realize that I'm dreaming. I hugged him and said, "Oh, come here, let me hug you." Nothing happened to me. They didn't eat or bite me. It was nice.
What happens when you realize you're dreaming?
How would you describe it?
I think I've noticed that there are two ways you can see it. One is that you realize you're dreaming, but there are limits and you can make decisions, but there are limits. And the other one has no limits. For now, I can only think of one situation where I didn't have any limits on what I could do. But subscribe. Somehow, I feel my thoughts as if I'm myself right now. I feel my thoughts the same way and I can discuss them. But in a dream, the thoughts are put in my head for me. In an ordinary dream, you're told what to think. Now you'll think about how red this apple is.
Yes.
And in this dream, which they call a lucid dream, you decide what to think. Your thoughts flow the same way as they do in this world. There was one time, but I dreamed about some buildings and I realized I was dreaming and I decided, why not fly a little I was walking and flying like that.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. It was such a nice feeling. It was so
Liberating.
liberating. Yes, it was really nice, but just more aware, more
Conscious.
conscious, and you see more details because you can focus on whatever you want, not just what's given to you in the script.
Yes. In the usual plan.
Yes. Sometimes I just dream, and when I wake up, I can't even realize that it was a dream. That's the other thing. Once I dreamed that I was in London. I was sleeping in my bed in London. And I dreamed that I'm in my grandmother's neighborhood and I'm walking around by the market and everything is so, which is in Bulgaria, yes, just to say, and everything is so, it looks real. I can't explain it. It's like I was really there. It's like if I touch something, I can really take it and smell. Very interesting smell. I could smell the scent there, something like that, which I don't know. I don't know if it's possible in a dream, but smell, sounds. I could feel how, when I stepped, I could feel it on my feet. And they say you can't feel while you're walking, which I think has to do with something physical. Maybe you can't feel, but my energy,
What does that say?
science in general, but it's not always right because there isn't enough research on how it works.
Yes, you're someone who's very interested in biology, right? And in the micro world.
Yes.
And actually, I wanted to ask you and make a parallel with this. It's a really nice transition. What is the most impressive and interesting thing you've learned so far in your life, both from a human perspective and from an energy perspective?
For me, some of the things we do are very illogical. In other words, the things people do, and I am a person too, the things we do as humans. Just how our world functions. That's something,
Like what, for example?
everything from this idea that we're in such huge cities and somehow we're separated. Yes, we're separated and we're not happy in the cities, and because we in prehistory, when we lived in caves, we were in survival mode. And back then, this more primitive part of our brain was only thinking about how to survive. But we have advanced a lot in technology, in how our brain works. We are much smarter than before. But still, we've made this world very similar to the old world. I mean, you have to work like crazy, really, really hard, a lot, because you need to have money so you can eat, so you can have water, so you can have electricity. You have to pay for water. That's a little strange.
That's how it is. I'd say it's absurd.
Yes, and we have to, when I talk to different people, different classmates who are more in the physical world, there's this stress and survival mode.
A constant pressure.
Yes, I need to be financially stable. I need to be okay in this physical world. That's important, but we create this lifestyle ourselves. We create it ourselves that we have to go to work this way. Somehow it doesn't make much sense to me. Society could be made in a different way.
Yes.
And how society lives, thank you. Our life, the place, for example.
How do you think it is?
The more beautiful reality.
The alternative? I think that or what exists in the physical world is important, and we don't necessarily have to erase it all, but rather connect both. To let go of some of patterns,
From the patterns.
the patterns we have in the physical world. Things like such a social hierarchy.
Hierarchy?
Hierarchy, thank you. Rather, instead of having one person who leads, I'm not talking about politics and parliament, just to be clear. I mean, for example, when you work in an office, there's one person who leads and the others are under them. Very often I see that people have an ego and they're like, oh, you're beneath me, you're good for nothing. And I think that's not true, because even the cleaners are so important. Everyone is so important. Everyone does their job. For example, I don't like it, or I don't have time, for example, to clean. The cleaner helps me so much. Otherwise, what would I do? I can't do my own work and take time to clean.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I don't know for sure what will happen. But I know it will be a combination of the energy and physical worlds. We will have technologies, but they will be based on nature. Not like now when everything is with oil, gas, things like that, because those will run out and it will be very bad. But it will be more about just using the energy where it is in here.
Have you asked any of the invisible worlds about this? Like, just a glimpse? We know there are many parallel realities, but what else could possibly happen?
I haven't asked, I've thought about it, but now that you asked me this question, I got an image in my head. It will be much more, of course, connected to nature, because nature is a very important part. But also the way which I see. The thing is, we're much more different than we seem now, and we're not just people. Different beings from various planets live here. It's kind of like a mix of all kinds of different beings, kind of like how America has many different cultures, London has many different cultures, people from many countries. It will be the same for our planet. We will be in a lot of balance, because not every person, they can live on another planet if they want. Living here isn't required, and they can travel.
That's when interstellar travel becomes possible. Interplanetary first and then interstellar.
How do you feel when you spend...
How has your time in Bulgaria been? What do you think of the energy and people here?
I'll begin with nature.
Yes, always with nature.
It's wonderful. The energy of nature is so strong. It's so much purer. I'm so grateful that our land has so much strength and energy. It's so, every time I go to the mountains, I feel so good, because I sense that grounding, that balance that nature gives us. People subscribe. They have a lot from the past. They have a lot of heavy energy, a lot of unresolved things.
They carry heavy burdens.
Yes, they themselves. Historically, Bulgarians, from a historical perspective, have been under oppression for a long time. And you can feel that a lot. When I was talking to Bulgarians,
It's heavy.
it's heavy, really heavy. And they let it out a bit through aggression,
Yes.
or by... They're hard, not soft. For example, very often when we travel, go shopping or buy something, people will get angry over the smallest thing. I see this very often in Bulgarians. Someone will drop something and someone else will scold them. How can you do that? And a lot, it creates. And
Like that. He imitated it very well.
just, for example, for comparison, I'm not saying that Bulgaria is the problem. This problem exists everywhere, always.
Of course.
There will be people who find it very difficult, and that's why they react this way. But in England, in general, when something like this happens, they are much calmer. That's also because they haven't been under slavery. They were the ones who took the difference. But really, it's always like a kind of tension.
A race, maybe, or not?
What does that mean?
Are there competitions between the different ones?
Competition.
Yes.
I was walking in the park and I heard an old lady and an old man. They were talking, and oh, the other day I went to the doctor because my knee was hurting, and me, they removed one of my organs. And me, I got an injection for that because my thyroid gland hurts.
Gland?
Yes, they were competing, which felt really strange to me. No, it felt, at first I was shocked, but then I found it funny because it was so strange to see.
There are so many more colorful things in the world, right? But still, this exists too.
There's also something like patriotism. So, being a patriot isn't always a bad thing, but it's a bit like we Bulgarians are the best, but we're also not the best. There's no need to say who's the best. Everyone has something special. We don't need to compare ourselves to other countries. I think that very often they're not satisfied with the situation in the country, but they display the same qualities they dislike in the people who have more power than them. They, for example, will say they all take instead of giving to the country, instead of building things, they take it. But in reality, if something is free, these people rush to get it. I think the best way is to lead by example. Whatever we do, whatever we believe in, we should lead by example. Because after all, the people who are in positions of power in the world, they grow up in the same place where we grow up, the same planet, which means that they often look up to us. So if we behave well and show them how to be on a higher energy level, to be
Happier, more grateful.
Yes, and to be
For real.
good for real, yes. Then they too, when a child grows up in such an environment, will be like that when they grow up in general. And I think that first we need to change ourselves in order to be able to change the world. The contrast between the very high energy of nature and the low energy of people.
And of people and some others too.
Yes.
Said
Yes, this contrast is what allows us to exist. These polarities are important so that we can exist.
Do you have a favorite person from history?
Well, I really like a specific, I think, allegory of...
By Platon about the cave?
Yes, I really like the cave. I think about it. I don't know if you've talked about it before on this channel.
We haven't, we've only briefly mentioned it. See how time passes, and yet what Plato wrote still fits perfectly. See how it becomes ingrained when we train ourselves for a long time to believe in something, which in this case is an illusion or an incomplete picture. Even when I meet someone or a bird lands on us to get my attention and share something, there's a lot of information. No, I want to be there. I want to be there in the cave, in peace, with what I've been taught. And actually, that's a very interesting reference because I've read some studies that say there are prisoners who, after spending over 20 years in a certain prison and in their cells, basically don't want to leave because they feel at home there. They've become very detached from the real world in this case. Very interesting. Very interesting. Leonardo da Vinci is such a great figure who deserves to be mentioned because together with Plato, we have a similar series that we started called Minds from Eternity, and we're still at the very beginning. Only a few episodes have come out so far, but there we try not so much to tell the story that everyone knows about this person, but to try to get into the mind of this person, what he was thinking, what he was doing. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Because if we share more of our true thoughts and what's really inside us, I believe more and more that we will grow and help each other. And others will share what they are going through, and in this way, we will grow together. Annie, I'm really curious, since you've been through so much and have so many realizations. What do you want to do from now on in your life?
I have a lot of different things that interest me. In general, many things, many hobbies, and many things are interesting to me. And that's why I have different goals, a goal for different things. For writing, I really love writing poetry and stories. I just want to write books. That's my goal.
What kind of books? Novels?
Yes, novels, yes.
What genre? Maybe science fiction or something else?
Different genres, because I just get different ideas for different genres. Everything is so interesting to me that I can't choose just one. But right now I'm working on fantasy and science, like sci-fi.
Science fiction.
Yes, fiction. I'm also interested in biology and physics. I know that I will definitely continue to study these things because I find them very interesting. It's so interesting to be on this planet and to be able to learn something without already knowing it. For example, if I feel something, I already knew it before.
It's a bit boring.
It can be boring, but learning is interesting. And my goal for the more spiritual things with energy, mostly I just want to help people and to talk to them, to help them open up, to discover.
To be more themselves?
Yes, to be themselves, yes. And by sharing my experiences to help them, because in general, when I listen, hearing others' stories, it helps me. But eventually, there was a moment when somehow there wasn't. Discussing certain topics was toughest for me since I'm deeply involved in the energy world. There was no one to explain it to me except Matthias.
Matias Di Stefano.
Yes, he really, when he described the strangest events, it helped me most since I also experienced many strange events. And it's a really good mirror because you don't feel alone, because when everything is really strange, you feel isolated.
What have you learned from Matthias? And you are kept it inside and carried it through life.
I'll check it in Bulgarian, but you said be the weirdest you can be.
How is it in Spanish?
It's important to be the most. Loco doesn't exactly mean that. It means crazy.
Loco means crazy.
Yes. El más, you can say diferente.
And in French?
Man, it's important to be as weird as possible.
And in Bulgarian?
Bulgarian is the weirdest. Yes.
And in Japanese?
Yes. My brother will know.
Ah, that's cool. So, to be who we are without caring about what others think, and that's when we're truly ourselves.
Very often before, in this online world, when we talk about energy things, they're a bit more. They talk about auras, about angels, about seeing unicorns, about softer things like that, but not about the really weird things where, for example, you think you're going to die, but someone is talking to you, and more shocking things like that. It's rarely discussed since it used to be uncommon, but now it's affecting more people and it's important.
And now it's impossible to ignore.
He also said not to be what people expect you to be. Because when we meet someone, we always expect something. Since we've created an image in our heads, but the most important thing is that when someone isn't what we expect, because nothing we think they are is actually like that in the real world. We just think that a certain thing will happen today, but it doesn't happen that way. And when we break that shell of the idea that things have to be the way we think they are, it's very helpful.
And the more often we do it, it's definitely even better for us and for everyone else. At first we stress them out a little, but then they start to tune into our vibe. That's really cool. What are the strangest creatures you've seen? The ones nobody talks about?
A lot.
We know you have many experiences, and you can share them with us if you want.
Today I'll talk about some people who are like family to me, but not my biological family. I'll share a bit about the backstory because it's important.
All right.
For most of my life, I've had a lot of anxiety, even fear and panic attacks about my heart. About the idea of the heart, how it looks, the physical aspect, because they're different, how it looks, how something just made me feel very scared and very anxious. And I worked through that fear, but there was still a very strange feeling, like something was squeezing or crushing me. Something is squeezing it, and it's not right. And that really worried me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. But we were just sitting and talking with my mom, and I decided to ask why. It's time to ask why. And I remembered, that is, I got it like a picture in my head. I heard and remembered something that happened to me before when I was a baby.
Yes. What was it?
I could feel and see. I'm in my bed, and I feel like something is wrong with my heart. Something is being squeezed. It's not beating properly. And I see three beings. I even have pictures of the first one.
Drawings?
Yes, pictures. Yes, well,
Pictures are cool if you have them. I want a camera like that to take photos in the energy world.
one of the beings looks like a mantis, and it's very tall, between 2 and 3 meters, and it sits above me and makes a kind of buzzing sound.
Can you reproduce it?
It's a deeper one, not exactly like a bee, lighter but deeper. And this one sits above me. It's very tall and very scary because I'm small, a baby. And next to it, there's one that looks a bit like an owl and some kind of bug. The third is blue-purple. I drew these according to the color that represents the vibration. It's not really about their physical appearance. It's just the color of the vibration. And they're sitting above me, and I feel like they're doing something to me, but I'm in shock. I'm like, what's happening? What are they doing to me? And I realized in that moment, seeing this image, I feel we knew each other in a past life.
You understand it in that moment.
Yes, and they tell me a heart for a heart, a heart for a heart.
Meaning?
Meaning they fix my heart. Because, we are close, we're practically like family, and I've given my energy hard. I've helped them and we've been very close, so connected. It feels like I gave them part of myself.
So now they help you out of gratitude?
They help me, yes. And I even have what I look like in this life.
The one who is with them.
Yes. And here,
And what type is this one?
As in species, race, or you don't have a definition?
I don't have a definition, but I know that at least it's not from this galaxy nor this universe. Far, far away.
Far away.
But they are very interesting. But after that moment, I realized that was one of the first moments when I started to remember past lives. Because, in other words, parallel lives. But because before that, I just felt whatever was here in this world. Now, what's happening energetically? What kind of beings come to talk to me? Not exactly so much about myself. That was useful to me because somehow I didn't have any self-identity. For example, I didn't classify myself as a cosmic child or a crystal or, I'm just, yo soy, I am myself, I am.
I am.
Thank you very much for sharing this.
Because the ease with which you talk about all this shows a great awareness for your age. And I believe that this will inspire many people who are much older than you. Finally, yes, because we have such close interactions with them every month with our members and in our webinars. This is a reminder for everyone.
Pull yourselves together and
Go out in your own way to share what you feel, think, see, or experience. Because it really helps everyone. And it could be the most ordinary things, but that's really how it is.
I've been wanting to do something for a while.
See, I started to change too. One note.
A note about how present I am in the moment today. It's entirely thanks to who you are today. Thank you so much for that, for the feeling of being in the now. I even believe that we don't have the right words to describe how valuable it is to be present, to contemplate, to be, to immerse yourself in this moment and stretch it out like a vast space. It's something very special. Traditionally, at the end of our meeting today, which I hope won't be the last, you'll share how you feel, and I'll ask a few questions that are meant as an experiment for. The guests should try to answer with one sentence.
If you're okay with trying it.
Yes, of course.
Questions usually arise in the moment, and whatever happens, happens.
So when you tell me you're ready, we can do it.
Why are we here, Ani?
We're here to survive all kinds of things. Everyone is here to experience what they want and need.
And where do we come from?
We come from nothing and everything simultaneously. There's no need to make a distinction.
And where are we going?
I hope it's up.
I like that answer.
That's it. Hope it's up.
And what is that thing inside us that makes us the strongest?
I think it's how we react and how we choose to react in a situation that determines our reality.
And what is love for you?
That's a very difficult question because I ask myself that so often. I can't understand it and I can't.
How has it shaped you? In one sentence.
I mean, the kittens, little animals, but another idea comes to mind. I'll say that love is a place between space on an atomic level. What's it called?
On an atomic level.
On an atomic level, yes. I think so, yes.
Very interesting answer.
I sense it energetically that the space, I'm not sure, maybe that's not it, but
Yes, that's what came to you, absolutely.
the answer will be cats.
Last question.
Who are we really?
We are both everything and nothing. There's no need to make that distinction. We are all energy.
Ani, my deepest respect and heartfelt thanks for your wonderful participation. The endless knowledge and wisdom you brought into our space, both online and in person. Thank you so much for being our guest. Really, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really love talking about such deep things, and it was a lot of fun. And you asked very good questions, very good ones.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, really.